I'm done with you. I found someone better and already moved your belongings to storage. My name's Leonard Kessler, 54, sitting in the kitchen of our Des Moines condo, staring at my phone at 11:42 p.m. on a Thursday. My wife, Dana, was supposedly on day 4 of a women's retreat in Palm Springs. The message came with a screenshot of a bank transfer. $118,000 shifted from our shared savings to her private account. I placed my phone on the counter and sipped the last of my coffee. 15 years of marriage dissolved in 2 sentences and a digital receipt. For months, there'd been clues, extended weekend trips, new outfits she never wore at home, hushed phone conversations that ended when I walked in. I saw it all. I'm a forensic accountant. Spotting inconsistencies is my profession, yet I stayed silent. Maybe that was my first error, or perhaps it was marrying someone who thought my work was just dull numbers and spreadsheets. I opened my laptop and checked a private email account Dana didn't know about. 3 alerts from my bank's security system. Someone had tried to alter passwords on accounts she'd never accessed. She was being meticulous. I had to give her credit for that. I picked up my phone and typed a brief reply, best wishes. Then I called my brother, Jason. Remember that backup plan we talked about 5 years ago? I said when he picked up. It's time. You sure? He asked. Yes, I answered. She just made her move. I ended the call and glanced at the wedding photo on the wall, the only picture in the condo still showing us together. I should have noticed that, too. I met Dana Bowman at a University of Iowa alumni gathering. I was 38, fresh from a brief first marriage, and focused on growing my forensic accounting firm. Dana was 34, lively, driven, and utterly uninterested in my career. I don't need to know the specifics, she'd say when I tried to explain my work. As long as you earn enough for us to live comfortably. We wed after a year of dating. I funded her yoga studio, covering the entire startup cost from my savings. When she wanted a larger home in a fancier area, I agreed. When she craved luxury vehicles and lavish trips, I nodded and wrote the checks. My father warned me once. We were repairing his deck and he stopped, hammer in hand. Son, your wife spends a lot of your money, he said cautiously. Just ensure she respects what you do to earn it. I dismissed his words, but they lingered. 6 years into our marriage, I began quietly safeguarding my finances. Nothing shady, just prudent. I set up 2 LLCs, created trusts, invested in cryptocurrency, and opened offshore accounts for overseas clients. Dana knew about our joint checking and savings, nothing more. I watched her dive deeper into the fitness influencer world. Her Instagram following soared into the thousands. She started taking trips with her wellness group, first weekends, then entire weeks. You'd hate it, she'd say. It's all yoga jargon and smoothie detoxes. Last Christmas, she forgot my birthday. When I brought it up the next day, she bought me a pricey watch and said, I've been swamped with the studio's growth. I took the watch, but that night I finalized my contingency plan's paperwork. The signs were obvious. I just didn't want to see the whole truth. The morning after her text, I woke early and brewed coffee, as always. Routines are tough to break, even when your life implodes. I logged into my custom financial system, built for my practice but tailored for personal use. With a few clicks, I activated the emergency protocol Jason and I had crafted years ago. First, I locked all joint accounts and credit cards. Then I flagged the $118,000 transfer as fraudulent, leveraging my banking contacts to fast-track the process. I sent evidence of financial misconduct to my lawyer with orders to file for divorce immediately. Then I called my mother. Dana's left me, I said plainly. She took the money and moved my things out while supposedly on a trip. My mother paused. I'm sorry, Leonard, she said at last, but I'm not shocked. What's your plan? What I've been preparing for years, I replied, protecting what's mine. An hour later, my phone buzzed with Dana's name. I ignored the call. 10 more calls followed, then a text. What did you do? The money's gone and my cards are useless. I didn't reply. Instead, I drove to the storage unit mentioned in her text. Using the code she provided, I retrieved 2 boxes of my clothes and my laptop. The rest, family photos, books, my father's keepsakes, were missing. That's when something solidified inside me. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about 15 years tossed aside without a second thought. It was about someone thinking they could erase me from my own life. I stopped at a cafe and opened my laptop. Using restricted financial databases, I researched Trey Harmon, the fitness influencer Dana had been tagging in posts for months. The someone better she'd mentioned. The data confirmed my suspicions. Trey's gym was drowning in debt. 3 maxed-out business credit cards, a lease he couldn't sustain, and Dana had co-signed a car loan with him 2 months prior. I shut my laptop and checked into a hotel. For the first time in years, I knew exactly what to do. I wasn't angry anymore. I was resolute. Monday morning, I walked into my office as if nothing had changed. My assistant, Valerie, looked up, startled. "Leonard, I thought you'd be taking leave. Dana called 3 times already." "Did she?" I said, not asking. "She sounded frantic, said there's a mix-up with your accounts and she needs to talk to you." I nodded. "If she calls again, direct her to my lawyer." By noon, Dana had gone from calls to showing up in person. The receptionist buzzed my office. "Your wife's here, she's very persistent." I sighed and walked to the lobby. Dana stood there, designer sunglasses perched on her head, yoga outfit perfectly matched. She flashed the smile she'd used for 15 years to get her way. "Leonard, there's a huge mix-up with the bank," she said, loud enough for others to hear. "All our accounts are frozen." "No mix-up," I said calmly. "You moved money without permission. The bank flagged it as fraud." Her smile wavered. "It was our joint account. I'm your wife. You're my soon-to-be ex-wife who drained our savings while announcing you'd left me for someone else. That's clear financial misconduct." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "You can't do this to me. I've made deposits on a new place. I have obligations. To Trey Harmon, yes, I'm aware of those obligations." Her face paled. "You're spying on me?" "No, just shielding myself from fraud." "I'll fight this," she snapped. "I'm entitled to half of everything." I looked at her steadily. "Half of what's in those accounts, maybe, but you seem to think that's all there is." She blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" "You'll see during discovery," I said, then turned and returned to my office. That afternoon, Dana's new lawyer emailed, demanding access to all financial records and threatening to expose irregularities in my practice if I didn't comply. It was a weak bluff, baseless. I forwarded it to my lawyer with one note: proceed as planned. By evening, Dana had rallied mutual friends, my phone flooded with texts accusing me of being cruel and controlling. No one asked where she'd been or who she was with. No one mentioned the money she'd taken. I didn't respond. Instead, I went to the gym, not Dana's studio or Trey's glitzy fitness center, but the small community center I'd frequented for years. I lifted weights until my muscles burned, then returned to my hotel. The trap was tightening, but not on me. 3 days later, my lawyer called. "We found something," she said. "Dana's been diverting funds from your joint account for over a year. Small amounts at first, then bigger ones." "To where?" I asked, though I suspected the answer. "Several accounts, some to her personal savings, but most to a business LLC tied to Trey Harmon. Nearly $80,000 total. And she used our joint funds?" "Yes, which strengthens our case for financial infidelity in the divorce." I thanked her and hung up. I wasn't shocked, but the confirmation hit hard. Dana hadn't just left me for another man. She'd been planning it for over a year, using my money to fund her exit and her new partner's ventures. That night, a text came from an unknown number. "Back off. Dana deserves better than you. Don't make this messier than it needs to be. Trey Harmon stepping in directly. Bold move." The next morning, I drove to my brother's house. Jason worked in cybersecurity, a perfect match for my financial expertise. We'd teamed up on cases before, but this was personal. "I need everything on Harmon Fitness LLC, I told him. "Bank records, loans, credit applications, all of it." Jason raised an eyebrow. "Legal methods only, right?" "Of course, just connecting public data faster than most could." 3 hours later, we had answers. Trey wasn't just in debt, he was sinking. His social media screamed success, but his business was failing. New equipment, expansions, and events were funded by high-risk loans and, lately, Dana's contributions. But there was more, something Dana likely didn't know. "Check this," Jason said, pointing at his screen. "Harmon applied for a small business loan 4 months ago using gym equipment as collateral." "That's standard," I said. "Yeah, but look who co-signed." I leaned in. The document bore Dana's signature on a $175,000 equipment loan. "She co-signed before leaving you," Jason said quietly. "And here's the twist. The loan holds her spouse jointly responsible. They used your marriage to get better terms." I stared at the screen. She'd tied my assets to his loan without my consent. "And there's more," Jason added. 3 credit cards, a car lease, and a new commercial lease, all co-signed by Dana, all backed by your marital assets." I stood and walked to the window. Outside, kids played in the neighbor's yard, unaware of adult betrayals. "She doesn't realize what she's done," I said finally. "Neither does he." The next morning, I met my lawyer and shared our findings. I want to act fast, I told her, before they catch on. She reviewed the documents and nodded. We'll file for emergency asset protection today. The loan fraud alone justifies freezing everything until the divorce is settled. That afternoon, I visited Harmon Fitness. The gym was sleek, with inspirational quotes on the walls and Trey's face on the entrance. Inside, young clients snapped selfies between lazy workouts. Trey spotted me instantly. He was taller in person with a fake tan and polished smile. He approached, hand outstretched, grin calculated. You must be Leonard, he said. Dana's mentioned you. I bet she has, I replied, ignoring his hand. We need to talk. In private. His smile flickered, but he led me to his glass-walled office, soundproof but visible to all. What's this about? He asked, shutting the door. I set a folder on his desk. This is every financial tie between you and Dana, loans, credit cards, leases, all co-signed, using our marital assets as collateral. He opened the folder warily. I don't get it. It's straightforward. Dana used our marriage to secure your business loans. Now we're divorcing and those guarantees are void. His face paled as he scanned the pages. These are legitimate deals between Dana and me? Perhaps, but the banks approved them based on our combined assets and income, assets she no longer controls. He shut the folder. What do you want? Nothing from you, just letting you know the banks will call those loans due soon. Dana said you were rich, he said, voice sharp. This money's no big deal for you. Money's not the issue, I replied. Trust was. I stood to leave but paused. One more thing. When Dana moved out, she took items of personal value, family photos, my father's watch, things money can't replace. He stared at me for a long moment. I'll see what I can do. I nodded and walked out. The next day, a courier delivered a box to my hotel. Inside were the missing photos, my father's watch, and other keepsakes. No note. That afternoon, my lawyer confirmed the emergency asset protection was approved. All joint assets would stay frozen until the divorce was finalized. I checked my financial system. Dana had tried accessing our frozen account 17 times in the past day. She'd also attempted to open a new credit line using our home as collateral. Denied. My phone lit up with her name again. This time I answered. What have you done? She demanded, voice trembling. The bank called in Trey's loans, all of them. They're taking the equipment tomorrow. That's unfortunate, I said evenly. This is spiteful, Leonard. You're ruining him to hurt me. I'm not touching him. I'm protecting myself from fraud. You used our marriage to back his loans without my approval. That's illegal. We can fix this, she said, tone softening. Come home, we'll sort it out. 15 years, and she still thought I was that pliable. There's nothing to fix, I said. The divorce will move forward. The fraud investigation will continue, and Trey will learn a costly lesson about due diligence. I hung up and blocked her number. That night, I slept soundly for the first time in months. 3 weeks later, I sat in a conference room for our court-ordered mediation. Dana and her lawyer arrived. She looked exhausted, her designer outfit and flawless makeup unable to mask the stress. Her lawyer spoke first. My client is prepared to negotiate fairly on asset division, despite the aggressive actions taken so far. My lawyer smiled politely. Good to know because we've uncovered something. She slid a document across the table. The bank completed its fraud investigation. They found Dana forged Leonard's signature on multiple loan documents, using their marital assets as collateral without his consent. Dana's lawyer scanned the papers, face whitening. We'll need time to review. Naturally, my lawyer said, but the bank has already referred the case to the district attorney. This meeting is a courtesy before criminal charges are filed. Dana stared at me, eyes wide. Criminal charges. Leonard, you can't mean this. I held her gaze calmly. I didn't file the charges, the bank did. That's what happens with loan fraud. Her lawyer whispered to her. She shook her head fiercely. If Miss Bowman signs our proposed settlement today, my lawyer continued, Leonard is willing to provide a statement to the bank that could lessen the criminal consequences. He won't pursue charges for the theft of personal items or the unauthorized transfer from the joint account. I watched Dana's carefully built world crumble. She'd expected anger, jealousy, maybe pleading, not consequences. The settlement is fair, I said quietly. You keep your yoga studio, which has always been profitable. You keep your car and personal items. You get no alimony and take on the debts you incurred in my name. And Trey? She asked, voice faint. Mr. Harmon's financial troubles are his own, my lawyer replied. But without your husband's assets backing those loans, the bank has already started repossession. Dana signed the papers without further protest. As we left the room, she grabbed my arm. I never thought you'd push back like this, she said. You always just went along. That was my choice, I replied, just like this was yours. I walked away without a backward glance. A month later, I moved out of the hotel into a modest craftsman house near downtown Des Moines. Nothing extravagant, just a solid home needing some TLC, a project to keep my hands and mind busy. I heard through mutual friends that Dana had relocated to Colorado for a fresh start. Her Instagram showed mountain vistas and uplifting quotes about new chapters. Trey's gym was sold to a national chain, and he'd moved to Miami to grow his brand. Neither mentioned their failures publicly. People rarely do. My brother Jason came by one Saturday to help install kitchen cabinets. Heard from Dana? He asked as we aligned the hinges. No, I said, and I don't expect to. You could have taken everything, he said. The fraud charges alone would have guaranteed it. I shrugged. What's the point? She's not my burden anymore. We worked in easy silence, the rhythm of measuring, cutting, and fitting creating a calm focus. I'm thinking of taking a break, I said eventually. Maybe head to Minnesota, fish at the cabin. Dad would have liked that, Jason replied. You haven't been there since he passed. That evening after Jason left, I sat on my porch with a glass of whiskey. The neighborhood was peaceful, broken only by occasional dog barks or children's laughter. Different from the upscale area Dana demanded, more grounded somehow. I reflected on the past 15 years, how I'd let someone else shape my life, my value. How I'd seen the signs but ignored them. How, when the time came, I was ready because part of me always knew it would. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel justified. I just felt free. The next morning, I called my office and said I'd be taking 2 weeks off. Then I packed my truck, locked the house, and drove north. No plans, no expectations, just the open road. And for the first time in years, no hidden tally of grievances to settle.